Good morning, and welcome to another sophisticated episode of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now here's your somnambulant and stagnant host, Voice of Doom. Good morning. I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I'm going to do another diatribe. Chock full of crap. Watching the news, they're getting madder and madder. They're getting very angry, but they're going to get even angrier in the near future. But I was thinking back on 11th grade when I was still actually trying to do good in school because I had to. And I was in English, and this teacher was a bit addled, as were most of them. But she had us studying Macbeth for like 3 months. Seemed like a long time. And she kept going over the same scenes over and over again until we knew the first couple scenes by heart, but we didn't know much else because she just couldn't get past it. But it kind of got me interested in Shakespeare because I did read the whole play, Macbeth, and I love the play, and I've read it many times. It's my favorite. But since I was into books and reading, and I worked in a bookstore, and I managed to put together a decent library, I read most of Shakespeare, and he's pretty good. I wanted to share something with you, because most people don't think about some other plays. The play written by Shakespeare, I'm not going to go into details, because I have a lot more to say, but it's a play called Timon of Athens. And I find it interesting because it's about this guy who was a very gregarious and generous person who always helped his friends, and he wanted to help, and he wanted to be well liked, and he just pretty much depleted his own fortunes by helping others. He sounds like a really good guy, and he was a good guy. But it turns out that when he lost his fortune and went to those same friends that he helped, he was rebuffed and eventually reviled, and he wasn't respected for what he did for them. And he ended up moving to a cave in a beach where he died, which is what happens with all the Shakespearean characters. But I wanted to read a few lines from Timon of Athens. Here's from the first act. "'Tis not enough to help the feeble up, but to support them thereafter." Okay, that was Timon in the first act. Now let's hear what he had to say in the fourth act. No, let's say third act. "You fools of fortune, trench your friends. Times flies, capping these slaves, vapors, and minute jacks." Now, let's go to the very end where he's about to kill himself. Living in a cave. Act 4. Scene 1. Act 5, Scene 1. "Come not to me again, but say to Athens, Timon hath made his everlasting mansion upon the beached verge of the salt flood, who once a day with his embossed froth the turbulent surge shall cover. Thither come," that means don't come, "and let my gravestone be your oracle. Lips, let few words go by, and language end. What is amiss, plague and infection mend. Graves only be men's works, and death their gain. Sun, hide thy beams, Timon hath done his reign. In other words, F you guys. And Timon is America, okay? That's how I see it. Timon is the very nice country that always wanted to help and said, we will not only help you, but we will keep helping you. We will support you. We will do everything for you. And now that America is kind of in the straits, we're going back to those self-same friends, which may be friends or may not, which we helped, and asking for their help. Okay, now we're not going to our friends right away, we're going to our enemies. That makes a lot of sense. Our enemies are the ones that have been pumping the fossil fuels. Now, we don't want fossil fuels pumped in America because that messes up our view. It dirties up our area with these unsightly oil platforms. But much to the dismay of the idiots, you cannot just get rid of supply and hope that demand will diminish. It doesn't work like that. People have to get where they have to get. We've set up a society where you work away from where you live. You just walk down the street to go to work. So, not in my backyard is the thing with Europe. And I mean Western Europe. And I mean the sophisticated countries like America. We want oil. We need oil. We don't want it. We need it. And we don't want to get it from ourselves because that'll mess up everything. We want a clean society. We want to stop global warming, but we still need other countries to produce more fossil fuels because, much to their dismay, demand has not diminished. And what's happened is they've cut the supply, which causes the price to go up, hyperinflation. Prices haven't even come close to how bad they're going to get. People are going to have a cow. But I wanted to say, yeah, begging for oil from Iran and using another so-called enemy, Russia, to negotiate a deal with Iran for them to make more oil, and we will give them nuclear power plants. So that makes a lot of sense to somebody. Venezuela, a ridiculous third world socialist dictatorship. Could have been a great country. Saudi Arabia, what can you say about them? We've helped them and they've hurt us. And now that we need them, they ignore us. They thumb their nose at us and they ridicule and debase us. So that's all I have to say about that. Hyperinflation is coming. War is coming and death is coming and B2 is coming. You're going to hear soon that there's another wave coming. Okay, so what will we do about that? We have to kind of put Ukraine on the back burner because we can only handle one thing at a time. So we'll see which takes priority. And Petrie has been all over the place. He's actually very busy. I've been noticing his stupid ass face everywhere. And he's got a new... I actually agree with him. I don't know what he was doing and where, but he actually said something that was true. He said, we're at an inflection point, and the world is complicated, and there's a war between autocracy and democracy, which are two sides of the same coin. But I agree with him. And he's also doing some new things that I find amusing. Instead of insisting that he's totally sentient, he's kind of playing on this doddering old man thing and making fun of himself. So that's kind of fun to watch, because you see him now. He's actually, what do you call that? Deprecating himself. And so that might be a good strategy, but he is going to deteriorate. It's going to get worse and worse, so who knows what words might come out. Let's go somewhere else where there's a problem. And I noticed that the media has done their job as far as stoking the flames of war in Ukraine. They have gotten the damage there that they predicted, and it's lasted more than the 3 or 4 days they said it would take for madness to overrun the whole country, which seems absurd because you just can't do that now. Let's go somewhere else. There's this place called Matsu Islands, and there's a place called Kinmen Islands, and they are very close to mainland China. Matsu Island is called Lingcheng. It's an atoll about 36 miles off the coast of mainland China. Kinmen Island is called Quemoy, and it's in a bay. It's like a few miles from a major city. So it's kind of like the islands in the Puget Sound, if you've been to Seattle. There's communities there, and, but they're right in the middle of Washington. So Mexico says, yeah, we control Whidbey Island or Bainbridge Island or whatever. It's like, wait a minute. This ain't geographically correct. But the upshot is that these islands are controlled by the ROC, which is the Republic of China, which is Taiwan. They're so close to mainland China that it may as well be mainland China. Geographically, it is. So they're going to take those islands. That's going to be the first thing. I heard this from Fox because they're getting ready for the next thing, and they want to stoke up the flames. So I'll help them. Because if it's inevitable, we may as well know what's going to happen. And there will be a major dust-up where those islands will be kind of like, well, those are our islands. Now this is just like the Ukraine, only you're not attacking us right away. You're taking little bits and pieces. Okay. Now what do we do? Because we told Taiwan we would protect them. And they're saying put troops in Taiwan now, so that when the attack comes, they'll be there. Now, since there's no attack, they can say put troops in Taiwan, because there's nothing being attacked. As soon as the attack comes, it's like, we don't want boots on the ground. Well, then have them be in bare feet, have them be in their socks, because they're, who knows what will happen. It could be a major attack. It could be really bad. But I wanted to have those snippets of thoughts for you to think about. I really said everything I want to say. And I kind of said a lot, I think. You should read Timon of Athens. It's very boring, but the story is interesting. How, generosity might, be the thing that brings you down because people resent being helped. And then they resent you. And America is in that position where we've done our best to help everywhere, and when we come for help, if things go bad for us, they might just say, forget it. You're on your own. So it could play out the same way. We could end up in a cave on a beach with the waves crashing in. So we'll leave it at that. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the day. I'm working tonight. And I think I'm starting to get my act together. I don't want to say too much because the minute I say that, I F up again. But the microcosm has to improve, otherwise the macrocosm's doomed. So that's the way that works out. It works out with everybody that way. I'll leave you there and enjoy the day.